Google fired the engineer who wrote about Google's diversity policy and the company's liberal politics. That employee is now saying he's exploring, quote, all possible legal remedies. All rise, Napolitano is here. Looks to me like free speech and the diversity and holding your own opinion within a corporation is headed to court. What say you?
I think this is a dynamic story, and one that we'll see reverberate throughout the country in other venues. Now, California has a statute, much as we do here in New Jersey, that prohibits affecting a person's employment status on the basis of political opinions expressed outside the workplace. But political opinions expressed inside the workplace can be the subject of discipline. Now, I have read this memorandum. It's challenging. There's a lot of psychological terms in there. There's a lot of psychological leaps in there. It impresses me as more psychobabble than it is politics. But remember the basic rule. The First Amendment restrains the government. It does not restrain private employers. You could invite me to your parlor and silence me if you didn't like what I said there. Might you consider doing that?
Absolutely, I would, yes.
Well, I would have no First Amendment claim against you. Our bosses here could silence any one of us if they didn't like what we said, because this is owned by our bosses and not by the government.
Fair point. I mean, I think a company does have the right to censor what is on its own email circuit.
Right.
And that's what Google has done. But it is going to go to court. And that whole idea that you can suppress diversity of opinion but enhance so-called diversity of gender, race and ethnicity, that's a contradiction.
How about this? Do shareholders want their investments spent litigating issues like this? Did management make a decision consistent with that Northern California culture, or with the millions and millions of people that have invested into Google?
That's a good question.
Alphabet, or whatever they call themselves.
Will the owners of the company, the shareholders, will they be represented in court? And what is their collective opinion? I simply don't know.
Presumably, their collective opinion is the wishes of management. Presumably, if corporate governance works properly, they elected management.
Okay.
And management presumably reflects their biases, which are decidedly different from this person. Now, look, if Engineer DeMoore had said, "Make America great again," and got fired for that, it would be a far easier case than the sort of psychobabble that he has included in this 10-page memo, much of which I would argue is not even understandable by people with less than a PhD education.
Last one. I think it's going to court. You?
I think it will be. You think he will sue for lost wages? I think he'll lose.
He's lawyering up, but it goes to court. I think the matter will be dismissed once it's filed. But I think he would file, and probably should file, because the statute needs to be tested. By the way, he says that Google tried to shame him into either retracting his position or suppressing it, tried to shame him. That could be the basis of the lawsuit.
Yes, it very well could. Okay. Pretty good, Varney.
Wasn't that good? I've had a 3-day weekend. I've been studying up, let me tell you.
You also had a lot of caffeine, I can tell.
Oh, always. See you at 11 o'clock.
At least you're not bitter.
Okay, everybody.